US President Donald Trump declared a public safety emergency in Washington, D.C. He deployed hundreds of National Guard troops to the area to fight out-of-control crime and homelessness, having made being homeless illegal. But somebody who's homeless, who doesn't have a home to go to, can now be arrested, fined and charged. However, Washington, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser has said the city has seen a huge decrease in crime with a 30-year violent crime low. Even the FBI admit there has been a significant drop in crime in the area, although they do their numbers slightly differently. The Metropolitan Police Department of the District of Columbia showed a 35% crime fall across all crimes, while FBI data says about a 9% drop. So why is Donald Trump using this excuse to federalize Washington, D.C., to declare a state of emergency, to put soldiers on the ground, to put FBI on the ground, whose job is entirely different to that of the police? Anyway, and what are they going to do with the homeless that he is insisting have to move out immediately? Well, joining me now to discuss this is Steve Siebold, author and speaker on psychological performance training. Steve, as ever, it's wonderful to see you. Thank you for joining me. Now, we saw him test this out a little bit for Gavin Newsom, didn't we, down in California, to try and force his hand there. But this time, Donald Trump acts as the governor of Washington, D.C. because it's not a state. Yeah,
exactly. Good to see you, Petri. Thanks for having me on again. It's always good to be on. I wish it was under better circumstances.
Me too.
Conversations, but it is what it is. Yeah, this is Trump again, showing he's king of the world, and I really think it's not about crime. I was in D.C. not long ago for a week. It's walking the streets at night. During the day, it's a very safe place, actually. This is about, in my opinion, getting rid of the homeless people. You know, Trump wants to put he's going to put these people in jail. They have nowhere to go. They're literally homeless. Where are they going to go? But he wants them out, or he's going to put them in jail. And I think it's just another way for him to show he is king of all things, all territory.
But these people, their only crime is that they have nowhere to live, right? There's no other suggestion that these are criminals.
No, these are just poor homeless people. I mean, a lot of people on the streets of the United States are living on the streets and are homeless, are mentally ill. And of course, we don't take care of the mentally ill people here. We just push them to another encampment so they can live under a bridge. And it's shameful. That's what he should be talking about. Instead of spending $200 million on a new ballroom for the White House, we clearly don't need. We could be spending the $200 million on helping mentally ill people on the streets. But instead, he wants to put them in jail so it doesn't look so bad in his backyard, which is mostly what he's concerned with.
So he wants an entirely sanitized, Disney-fied Washington, D.C., basically.
Yeah, Trump has lived his whole life like this. And this is a man who was born with effectively $400 million in today's dollars in his pocket when he was born. This is a silver spoon. He's never known, he doesn't even know what it's like to go to a grocery store. If you ever heard him say the word grocery, he says, yeah. Groceries, it's everything you put in a bag. I mean, like, he just discovered the word. This is a guy who lives in a different reality, and the homeless people are dirty to him and they're nasty, and he wants to get rid of them. I mean, it's so obvious what he's doing here. It's shameful.
The other thing is that he is using very obscure laws in order to affect all of these things that he's trying to do, like the Alien Enemies Act, which judges are looking at and going, well, this isn't an emergency. This is not what that act was supposed to be for. This one he's using now, declaring a state of emergency. That just presumably plays well to his MAGA base.
Oh, yeah. Well, clearly, Petri, we are under attack by these poor homeless people, just as we're under attack by people working at our Home Depot or our home centers that are selling tacos in the parking lot, and their ICE agents are tackling them and ripping them away from their children, their families. Clearly, these are dangerous people selling tacos and living on the street. So we have to enact these old laws to make sure we save the public from them.
What he's doing now with Washington DC, he's also threatened to do the same to other areas, specifically New York City. He's got a real bug in his backside at the moment about New York City, and also he's talking about Chicago. I mean, presumably he doesn't have the ability to do that in the same way as he does in Washington DC.
Well, I think he thinks he does, Petri, and these are places that did not vote for him. These are Democratic strongholds that did not vote for him. Trump is all about revenge. I mean, he's told me this personally, and he's told everyone that's ever met him, I think, personally, for 30 years or probably longer, that revenge is the key to success. That's the first piece of success advice. Literally, he told me, he said, this is the best piece of success advice I'll give you. When I was 30-something years old, he said, get revenge on your enemies. And he's doing that, and he's doing it through these laws, as you say, and he's pulling it off. And our weak Congress just can't seem to stop him.
I mean, that is the thing, isn't it? A lot of people are saying, what are the Democrats doing? And it looks to me like the Democrats are trying to colour within the lines, and the Republicans are so outside the lines, and it doesn't seem like an even match, right? I mean, one lot of people are trying to do it all properly, and the other lot of people appear to be bending or breaking every single rule that they can get their mitts on.
Yeah, we have very few Democrats they're terrible politicians, notoriously. And they're good people for the most part. The ones I've met over the years and seen and studied over the years, they're very good people. Most of them, of course. There are some bad ones, of course. But they're terrible politicians. And I think some of them are trying to stand up. They clearly don't know what to do because we have literally handed the keys to this criminal. And that's why we all fought so hard to keep him out of office, because we knew if we handed him the keys that his corruption would be double or triple or quadruple what it was in his first term, which of course we've seen. I don't know what it is in terms of being worse, but it's a lot worse, clearly, and there's very little we can do.
But I mean, it just exposes the entire American system as having been based on faith. I don't mean religion, I mean faith that somebody would behave properly. It has exposed the entire democratic system as being incredibly flimsy. America, whatever happens, won't go back to that, will it? It can't.
Now, the Constitution really does not protect us, as we're finding out. We hadn't found this out in the past 249 years, but we found out now. It really doesn't protect us from a president with all power, or mostly all power, that does not have the goodwill of the people. Good intentions. It really doesn't protect us from a corrupt president. So you're completely right. It showed the flaws of the Constitution. As solid as a document as it is for being written 249 years ago, it has showed its flaws for sure, and we're paying the price as a result.
Because that is a conversation that I have with a lot of my friends who don't quite understand what's going on in the United States. Can't they just get rid of him? Can't they just because we have systems in place here where if it's absolutely dire, then it can happen. But what is Trump's end game? What is all of this preparing the US for? The sight of the military in major cities, the FBI and the police really pretty much being federalized and under control of Donald Trump. This is ringing alarm bells. What is he preparing the US for?
Well, I think there's two things going on. One is he's using his ego to get revenge, and this is kind of what he does in business. He sues everybody. The guy's had 5,000 lawsuits he's filed during his lifetime. I mean, I don't know anyone, any company that's ever done that. So I think his part, Petri, is revenge. But on the other side, there's a whole bunch of people behind them that are using him. They know he's a useful idiot. They know he'll say anything. He'll incriminate himself. He's got the intellect of a 12-year-old, and he can't control himself more than even for his lack of intellect. But the real end game, in my opinion, and there's a lot of people that think this in Washington and outside of Washington, is they want to take the United States to Christian nationalism. They want to rule the country by the laws or what's in the Bible, by creating laws based on the Bible. Not that they're religious in any way, but they know they can control an ignorant populace that'll believe anything that was written in an ancient book of symbolic literature.
I mean, I've heard some of the language that's being used by Republicans, what they refer to as, women's bodies literally just being a vessel, just being something to grow a child in. They're not even calling them women anymore. Also, Pete Heggs is retweeting something that suggests that women shouldn't vote. Why? I don't understand how America is so sleepy about this. I just don't think Britain would be.
I think you're absolutely right. We're an immature country. We always have been. You're an older country. You guys have been through a lot more. And women, believe it or not, Petri, women in this country, MAGA women, are standing up for him while he's systematically stripping them of their rights. They already have Roe v. Wade, and that was the Christian far right. They already, so women can't control their own body. Now they're going to go after voting rights. They're going to strip women of birth control, which emancipated women, of course, in the United States during the 1960s. Birth control was illegal here until 1964. And now, of course, women were, they were free to go out and pursue careers just like you did, or they could stay at home if they wanted. They could do both. But they had the ability to control their bodies, and he wants to take that away, just like the right to vote. This big group of people behind him want to take it away, and they are well on their way to doing it. And women, for some reason, a lot of women, at least on the Republican side, just refuse to stand up.
What? I mean, the other thing is I'm going to mention the Epstein files because Trump doesn't want us to mention the Epstein files. And it seems that a lot of what he's doing at the moment is performative. It's look over there, look what's happening. If I say, will he get away with it? We know his name is in the files anyway. He's been told that. But will we ever know the truth about those files?
I don't know.
No.
I don't know. I don't know. I assume pretty strongly, as you do, and a lot of people do, that his name is in the files. Now, whether he went to the Epstein Island and all that.
Yeah, I'm not saying that, but yeah.
We know, his background as a sex offender is pretty strong. There's a lot of women have come. I think 26 women have accused him of various degrees of sexual, assault. And so we know he's got this penchant for this, but whether he's in those, whether he's done anything wrong in terms of what Epstein did, I'm not sure. And I don't know if we're ever going to see those files or not, but I would doubt it.
But the more it seems that he tries to stop people talking about the Epstein. I mean, somebody somewhere knows something. I would think that this is probably the worst kept secret. And somebody is going to spill some tea at some point, right?
You would think so. Even the MAGA cult, this cult of people, this 30 or 40% of our country that just they don't care what he does. They don't care what rights he takes. They don't care if he shot someone in the head. They 47% the other day came out in a poll, Petri. This is hard to believe. And said, they asked the people if he's implicated in Epstein's files, would they still vote for him? And 47% of the people said yes.
I thought they were pro-rights and pro-children. And
me too.
Yeah. I mean, that's a cult. That's the cult behavior.
We're talking about pedophilia here. I mean,
yeah.
How low can it go? I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, it is terrifying. It is horrifying. But the other thing that is sort of in the background as well is this domestic civil disturbance force that they are proposing to bring onto America's streets. This is a force that is supposed to be able to be on the site of some disturbance within an hour. I don't know if that's possible or not. But is this just the end of peaceful protest? Because my idea of disturbance and your idea of disturbance may be very different things, but a protest, presumably taking over streets, is a disturbance.
Exactly. And in this country, if you're in our country, whether you're a citizen or not, you get due process. Well, that's not happening anymore. And they're literally, the ICE people are just literally pulling up in vans with masks on and not identifying themselves, not giving people due process. They're just pulling people in vans and ripping them from their families. And now they're talking about doing what you're talking about. And it's the same thing. There's no court. There's no due process. This is just what the king wants, the dictator Trump. And that's it. And there just doesn't seem to be a force big enough to stop it.
But I mean, and that is the thing, isn't it? I find that really difficult to understand, that Americans seem to think, oh well, it'll be okay because we've only got 4 years. He declared that you wouldn't have to vote again if he was elected this time. And when he said that, I was like, oh, you know, that is horrifying. He's in love with Putin. We know that this meeting he's got with Putin, he's just going to bend to Putin because he's got a boy crush on him, and he admires dictators. I mean, are you concerned that he will not leave at the end of his term?
I'm terrified. And I mean, I'm being honest. I'm terrified. Everyone here I know is terrified, and there is some resistance being put up. There's a lot of us out there speaking out, and just not enough. And I mean, he just built. You know, he's building a $200 million ballroom at the White House, and which will be done at the end of this term, which he's supposed to leave. And what I've been telling the press, they say, you really think he's going to leave? Trump has never done a single act in his life for anyone else. He's building that ballroom because he's planning on staying until he comes out of that White House in a box. He might be 100 years old at the time, but he's planning on staying. I promise you he's not building that for the next president.
But, I mean, he's already got merch, hasn't he, ready for 2028?
Oh, of course.
But there are I mean, you have a constitution that makes that illegal. I mean, it's not, that isn't even up for debate, right? That's not even a wishy-washy thing in the Constitution. 2 terms, that's it, you're out. How's he going to do it?
I don't know, but they're saying there's ways around it. There are a lot of people saying he's going to, in Washington that I know, are saying he's going to work his way around it. And as you said, he said we'll never have to vote again. I mean, we're 6 months into this thing, Petri, and he's done so much damage. I know I'm 60 years old. In my lifetime, I'll never see it. I can't imagine it could come back, if it ever comes back at all. But just you know, the things he's doing are, with 3.5 more years, even if he did leave after 3.5 more years, if he lasts that long, the damage will, for the world, not just the United States. I mean, we put him in office. I mean, it's half the country deserves what they're getting. They voted for him.
Twice.
But the whole world, I mean, look what he's doing in Alaska with Putin on Friday. He's meeting without Zelensky, the war hero, the guy with the real guts. You know, Zelensky, he thinks he can make a deal with Putin and not even bring in Zelensky, who has been under attack for 3 years, a sovereign nation. And he says Zelensky doesn't have to be there because he won't matter.
I mean, yeah. Again, the whole thing is is going to be a wild stitch up, and then Zelensky's going to be the bad guy again, because Putin knows how to fiddle with Trump, right?
Oh, yeah, he worships Putin, no question. Anyone that's a dictator, I think, that has all power. That's what Trump loves. He loves the show of power, like when he had this little parade that cost us, $95 million, on the 4th of July with the tanks and everything, which looked ridiculous.
It was embarrassing.
It was absolutely embarrassing. It was. And but he loves these shows of force. Trump is a coward at heart. He's a coward, but he wants to look like a strong man. And so he puts on these big shows that are just ridiculous.
And look, a lot of people are saying, look, it doesn't matter if Trump goes, if he dies, or, whatever. J.D. Vance is just as bad or even worse. What do you think of that?
I agree 100%. He's smarter and he's sneakier. And there's a lot of other people behind Vance that are smarter and sneakier. They're using Trump as a pawn. Again, he's a useful idiot, and they all know it. But, and so if Trump leaves tomorrow or dies tomorrow or whatever, we still have this corruption that runs very, very deep. And they're smarter and they're sneakier. And Christian nationalism, you mark my words, that's where they want to go, because they know the average person will buy into the Bible is, beyond reproach. You can't say anything about an ancient book, because then you're a bad person. That's what they're going to fool the American public with. That's where it's all going.
And they thought The Handmaid's Tale was fiction.
Yeah.
I think somebody read that book. Steve, it is always a pleasure. One day we'll have a conversation about how fabulous America has turned out to be after all. But
that'd be nice, Patrick.
It would be nice. Take care, Steve. It's lovely to see you. Steve Siebold there, who is author and speaker on psychological performance training, who's known Donald Trump for years, for decades. So I tend to listen to what he has to say about that. Right, quick break. Back in a sec.